Hi everyone, so welcome to today's video. Today we're talking about concealers. I have several that I want to share with you that are my top favorites. These are just the top best of the best that I've tried so far. I have used some of these for a very long time and I wanted to share with you my favorites. There are so many concealers out there on the market from a variety of price points and tons of different brands, both high-end and drugstore, and sometimes it can be kind of hard to figure out which ones are the best ones, which ones are worth the investment. And I wanted to share with you my favorite ones because these are just incredible. They give me the coverage that I'm looking for. They don't look dry, heavy. They don't accentuate fine lines. Have you ever used a concealer and you look at yourself in the mirror and you feel like you've just aged 10 years? Well, none of these are going to do that. These are absolutely incredible, and there's a reason why I love them, the reason why I keep reaching for them and going back to these concealers. Even though I try lots of them, I have tons of concealers in my drawer. I have some new ones that I'm testing out that may eventually become favorites. But these are just absolutely 100% ride or dies. I will have these in my collection at all times, always. No matter what's new, no matter what's my current favorite, these are the ones that I'm going to come back to. And I hope that this video is helpful. I hope that you pick up something that you want to try, some tips along the way. And I will share with you some of my favorite sort of under eye correctors, brighteners that you could use in conjunction to these, just for those moments where you need a little bit of extra coverage and you don't want to overload the under eye with a concealer. You want to use a corrector first, then a concealer. And I have some favorites in that category as well, but we're going to focus mostly on concealers. And I think I'm going to start off with my number one, my absolute number one that I just can't get enough of. And I have talked about this. This was featured in my best of beauty videos for last year. And I can't get enough of it. It's the Huda Beauty concealer. These are the faux filter concealers. I have two shades because I love it so much. My normal shade is 2.1 N Meringue. It's a neutral tone. It is pretty light. This other one here is more golden. This is a shade deeper, and this is 2.5 G. So that's the golden tones in the color called Nougat. So Meringue and Nougat are the two that I have. Meringue is my go-to year-round. Nougat is the one that is more golden to kind of go with the goldeny tones from having some color from the summer. I use mostly this one now and a touch of this one to sort of brighten and just do like a little dot in the inner corner. But Meringue is my first color that I chose to try in this range, and it ended up working out perfectly. And I absolutely love everything about it. That's why it's number one. It gives me coverage. It looks like a filter under the eye. It sets well with powders, whether it's the Huda Beauty Easy Bake powder or a different brand. It never gives me any problems. It doesn't look dry. It doesn't age me. It is like a perfected under eye. And who doesn't want that, right? So I love the coverage that this gives. Now, my particular one is very dirty. I use this almost every single day. I thought about cleaning it and making it look pretty for the video, but then I thought, no, I'm just going to show you the way it is because this is how I pull it out of my drawer and I use it. It is gunked up. It is well loved, okay? I love this concealer so much. I love the applicator as well. It's a big sort of doe foot applicator that's kind of wider than what you would typically expect. Okay, so moving on to number two, kind of going in order of my favorites, I have to include the Beautiful Skin Radiant Concealer from Charlotte Tilbury. I absolutely love this concealer. I wear the shade 2.5 Fair. Again, most of these tones are going to be my normal year-round tone, not a color that matches my actual tan. I do have to mix some concealers, and that's why I have the golden from Huda that I can use with any of these and sort of bump up that color a bit instead of purchasing a whole tube for just my summer shade. So 2.5 Fair is a perfect color for me. I love this. This is a little bit different than the Huda. This one is a little bit more hydrating, and there is a bit of a kind of mica mineral that's in there to give it a bit of a luminosity. It's in the name. It's called Radiant Concealer for a reason. It's not matte by any means, but it's not super shimmery and glowy and too radiant where it looks unflattering under the eyes. It is a beautiful formula. I am partial to Charlotte Tilbury because it's my favorite brand, high-end. I have a ton of Charlotte Tilbury products. Formulas are beautiful. The packaging, everything about it is great. And I keep coming back to this and I just adore it, which is why it's in this video. I love the applicator. It's a thinner, more skinny doe foot. I will show you what that one looks like there. And I can swatch it for you if you're interested in seeing that formula, but it is going to be more of a creamy hydrating formula. And although there is some hydration to this actual concealer in this formulation, it doesn't get all creasy and weird looking. I set all of my concealers always, and I will list my setting powders down below that I enjoy. I feel like this formula is just great across the board for anybody who wants a concealer that has just a bit more hydration than what you would find, let's say, in the Huda. I have another concealer that kind of reminds me of my Huda Beauty concealer, but it's from the drugstore. And I found this because a very famous celebrity was talking about beauty products and how this was the best product. So when she mentioned it, I decided to go out and try it. I bought it from Target and I really love this formula. And it's the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Concealer. My year-round shade is Alabaster. My current shade, which is a step up, is in the shade called Vanilla. Vanilla is just a little bit more yellow in comparison to Alabaster, and I will show you. Top is Alabaster, bottom is Vanilla. I actually did purchase this in a tan tone for bronzing. It's a little bit more warm than what I wanted it to be. I think I needed to go deeper for that sort of effect using concealer as bronzer, but the formula is beautiful. It virtually has no creasing. Like, I put it on for my last video where I did a full face of drugstore products and I didn't set it. I normally put concealer and then immediately set and then move on to the next step of my routine. I didn't do that. I kind of did things a little bit differently and backwards in that video. And I had no creasing. I couldn't even believe it. It was kind of like mind-blowing, really, that it didn't crease. And I love this formula. So I will show you a swatch. This is Alabaster, and again, it has a doe foot applicator, but this one has more of a slant than any of the other ones. Maybe you can see that there, hopefully. And this one looks a little bit more yellow compared to the Charlotte. So here is the Huda Charlotte Tilbury Radiant Skin Concealer, and then the Can't Stop Won't Stop from NYX. I just love it, and it blends like a dream, and it looks good with my favorite setting powder, which also is a bonus because it's not one that I have to use a special powder for. It kind of works with all the powders that I already use and love, and I love it. That's why it's number 3. The next one, number 4, is different in the consistency, in the product component, and also the finish. This one is actually a matte finish. This one is probably one that someone will look at and say that's great for concealing on the face, but you'd be surprised how beautiful it actually looks under the eyes. And I'm talking about the Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer. I have the shade Light 1 Chantilly, and it is a nice formula. Like I said before, this one is different for various reasons, but the finish is matte. Whereas the other ones, they are more full coverage, but still kind of more of a like natural matte. This one still has that kind of natural matte quality, but it's just, it looks different under the eyes, and it's really pretty. It's soft, it's creamy, it blends, and it looks more matte. So if you don't want something as hydrating as the Charlotte Tilbury one and you like more matte, then this is going to be the one for you. I have used this to spot conceal on my face if I'm using like a skin tint, or I'm doing a very minimal makeup look where I may spot conceal with this and then maybe a little bit of some setting powder or a little bit of a light layer of a face powder. This is a good concealer for that. But for the under eyes, it actually is incredibly beautiful. For being a mattifying or a matte formula, it is nice under the eyes. And I will show you, it comes in a pot, little jar, it's a plastic jar. And I can also use this on my face. So it kind of doubles for under eye and also spot concealing if I have any blemishes or if I want to do something lighter, as I mentioned earlier. This is actually a very good concealer, which is why I included it. And then the last one that kind of really surprised me, it has some good ratings online, and I just I've been always curious about expanding my collection of more luxury brands, and this brand in particular, I've been eyeing their foundation and concealer for some time, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out what's the right color for me because it is a little tricky. And I will show you two colors that I ordered in this particular product because the undertones are a little bit different, and I don't want it to sound like a negative thing, but it's something to note. When I first placed the order, I purchased one shade and it was too dark. Then I ordered another shade and that was still a little dark. So I have 3 different colors in this one concealer, but it's the one that I'm wearing today, and I will be demoing it for you so you can see how beautiful it is. It is very luxurious. It's the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer. I have quickly fallen in love with this concealer. The packaging is beautiful. It's very luxurious. It's very weighted. It's glass. The other ones are all plastic components, but this has that sort of extra touch of that glass product component, and it just makes it a little bit more high-end feeling than a typical concealer. Is that part of why I love it? Not really. It's the formula. It's creamy, it's hydrating, but it adds coverage. And like I said, I'm wearing that today, and I will show you the demo of it, and I really like it. So the shade that I ended up feeling like it was the best match for me was 0.5N, which is described as a neutral. For some reason, Dior, with their foundations and concealers, they tend to pull a little more orange than I prefer personally for me, and that's why I had a difficult time. When I first tried this concealer out before I decided that I needed to order a different color, I tried shade 2N, which I still need to return that. And then I ended up ordering 1N. So this is 1N, and then this is 0.5. I will show you the difference. 0.5 is here, and then this is 1N. So you can see 1N just looks a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more kind of cool, like a little bit more pink. I don't know if the camera's really picking up. I have my light around the mirror on, and it might be kind of changing how this looks, but in person, the 1N is a little bit deeper and more pink. It's hydrating, but not too wet and too creamy where it doesn't set. I have it today with my Huda Beauty powder, and it is beautiful, and I love it, and I've been wearing this several days in a row, and I just can't get enough of it. So this has quickly moved into my top favorites, which is why I included it in today's video. I've been testing it out for some time, and I don't think I've really talked about it on camera or shown it because I've been kind of testing it behind the scenes, and I love it. I absolutely love it, and I think it's worth every penny, and it's worth trying if you like luxury brands, or if you want to treat yourself to a luxury formula, but you don't know what brand to try and which brand is worth the investment. Start with Dior. Let's get into the demo of the Dior concealer, and I will show you how I apply it, how I blend it, and the powder that I use to set it, and then I will meet you back with some of my favorite correctors. So I'm going to just kind of show you how I apply this. I take just like a dot here, and then here on the outer part of my eye. And then I typically use a sponge to blend this out, but you could use a brush, an angled brush, one like this one from A Cosmetics. This is the Makeup by Mario F1 brush. It's angled for blush and bronzer on one side, and then it has a smaller side, which honestly, it's perfect for the concealer part. But I'm going to use my sponge, and I'm just going to kind of bounce this and kind of show you how it still remains with that coverage, even though I'm using a sponge, which typically tends to eat up a lot of your product. And it looks so beautiful and soft, but it's not heavy. It's not accentuating any fine lines. It's not settling. I love it. So earlier I mentioned color correctors, and I don't want to get too much into color correctors themselves because this one is more of a roundup of my top favorite concealers, but I will kind of give you some ideas and some suggestions if you need a color corrector, if you don't want to layer more of concealer, because sometimes that doesn't always look the best when you keep applying and layering and layering. So if you have a lot of darkness, and believe me, from time to time I do look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, whoa, I need a little extra boost. That's when I go in with my correctors, and I just do a normal amount of concealer on top of that. I'm going to start with my very first corrector that truly is a game changer for me, and it's absolutely a gem in my collection and I cannot be without. It's the Charlotte Tilbury. These are the Magic Vanish color correctors. If I can talk, the color correctors from Charlotte Tilbury. I have it in the shade Fair, and it's the perfect peach tone to correct and cancel out any dark circles. Mine is absolutely disgusting, and I do apologize in advance for that, but that's what it looks like. It's creamy, it's hydrating, and I've used this honestly on its own as well, and no other concealer, and it works perfectly. Nars knows how to do complexion products, so it's no surprise that their newest light reflecting eye brightener has become a favorite of mine. I wear the shade called Night Swan, and I love the white jar lid because it's a little different than their normal black tops for their concealer. It's a frosted glass jar. It's very luxe feeling, but this is the Night Swan, and it is absolutely perfect. The color is perfect for someone who has fair skin or even lighter skin tones. They have other options, so if you are deeper skin tone than I am, they do have some other options to choose from that might suit you best. I love this formula. I've used it on its own, and I've also used it just to quickly brighten this inner part where you typically have the most darkness. And then I've gone in with other concealers over the top. I've also used it on its own, as I've done with the Charlotte Tilbury Corrector, and it is a really nice formula, and I really enjoy using this, and I do see a benefit to having this in my collection. It's not just an extra step of something that really does nothing, right? So both of those are beautiful. The next one is an OG favorite of mine, and it's from the drugstore. It's the Maybelline Eraser, the multi-use concealer. I actually like this in the skin tone colors. This one is the pink one, which is the Brightener. And I don't know, it doesn't even have well, it has a number, 160, but that's the color. It's a light, soft pink shade that helps sort of brighten the eyes. So anything kind of pinky or kind of peachy, salmony, depending on your skin tone. If you are light skin, medium, or tan, maybe, or deeper, you probably need something a little bit more kind of salmony, a little bit more orangey, whereas if you're fair like myself, something soft and pink, something soft and peachy would work to conceal and correct, and then you can go on with a concealer or not if you choose to skip that extra step. But those would be my top 3 correctors and brighteners for the under eye area. So it gives you more options and something else to think about. If you need a recommendation, I've provided that for you. So hopefully you found something new to try in this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope the information was valuable to you. Thank you so much for being here, for taking the time from your busy schedule to spend some of it with me today. It means the world to me. Subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and you can also follow me on Instagram. We can chat and be friends there. It's always going to pop up on the screen. The description box down below will have everything that I talked about today and the colors that I wear down in the description box. So expand that if you need more information. Thank you so much for being here. Take care, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.